The Houston Texans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The first time these two teams played, the Ravens won. But the final score shows that it was a one-sided affair. But actually, that game was pretty close up until midway through the third quarter when the Ravens started to pull away a little. And the Texans are a really well-coached team. And they're one of those teams that if they play you twice, they're probably going to play you better than what they did the first time they played you. DeMeco Ryans is one of the best defensive minds that we have in the NFL. And week one, when these two teams last faced off against each other, Lamar Jackson didn't have a great performance. Now, I know that was week one. All right. Now you look at the Ravens now, they're a better version of themselves than what they were when the season first started. But this is a really good defense. They are very young. They got a lot of aggressive style players on this defense, such as Jalen Petrie. You also have some really aggressive, really fast linebackers. This defense is perfectly suited from a personnel standpoint to be able to contain Lamar Jackson. And we've seen when you've been able to slow down the rushing attack of the Baltimore Ravens, this offense does have the time to get a little bit wonky. Prime example, when they lost to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns beat them, not really having a great display of offense. Well, Deshaun Watson played well in the second half, but mostly they won that game against Baltimore because the Ravens turned the football over and they couldn't get the run game going. Look, Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL in my eyes right now. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that, yes, the Ravens are a good team when it comes to throwing the football. They still are a team that needs the run game to be accessible to them for them to have success. The Houston Texans have a really good run defense. Now, they got carved up by Jonathan Taylor a couple of weeks ago, but their run defense looked pretty solid against the Cleveland Browns. Now, defensively, Houston, if they can hinder the rushing attack of Lamar Jackson and the other running backs that they're going to throw out there, like, don't know how many of you guys remember, but Dalvin Cook plays for the Ravens now. And I definitely do expect him to get a good amount of touches in this game. But with how good the run defense is of Houston, you can make this a team that has to beat you throwing the football with guys like Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie in the back end. You feel confident about your ability to be able to hold up. Offensively, though, this is probably where this game is going to be won and lost at. The Ravens defense versus the Houston Texans offense. Okay, we've been making a big deal about how the Baltimore Ravens offensively could struggle against DeMeco Ryans because he's a really good defensive coordinator. Well, defensive-minded head coach, right? Well, same thing can be said about Mike Macdonald. You see, Mike Macdonald has a lot of success against these Kyle Shanahan disciples. You saw what they did to the Miami Dolphins offense, and where does Mike McDaniel come from? The Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, right? Kyle Shanahan, the godfather himself. His offense got shut down by Mike Macdonald. And week one, when these two teams played, the Houston Texans didn't have too much success offensively in that game neither. Mike McDaniel, Bobby Slowick, and Kyle Shanahan have the same style of offense. Now, they have different tweaks and different variations to certain things, but they've been influenced from Kyle Shanahan. And with Mike Macdonald having a good grasp on how to slow down these kinds of offenses, I expect Houston's offense to struggle in this game. All right? Now, they do have CJ Stroud. All right? And this is what makes this game a little bit weird when it comes to deciding who could win this thing. Because CJ Stroud is a top 5 quarterback right now. All right? And I can only name 4 quarterbacks right now that I would take over CJ Stroud. Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. That's it. And CJ Stroud isn't the next Andrew Luck. He is the next CJ Stroud. Andrew Luck wasn't even balling the way CJ Stroud is right now. But if this dude shows up like how he did last week against the Cleveland Browns, Houston is definitely going to be in this game. You see, it's hard to see Houston being able to keep this thing close only because you look at this game on paper and you see that the Ravens have a significant talent advantage. But when you have a quarterback that's hot like this, especially going into the postseason, there's not a single game that they can't win. You see what Jordan Love just did to the Dallas Cowboys. I know it's the Dallas Cowboys, but you talk about carrying on the Aaron Rodgers tradition of owning the Dallas Cowboys. This is what happens when you have a hot quarterback that's in ascension mode right now. You see, we saw the same thing with Trevor Lawrence last season. Late year, he got hot. When you have a young quarterback that gets hot late in the season, they get into a new level called ascension. And this is when they continue to grow. And I feel like when you have a quarterback like CJ Stroud in the playoffs, you're always going to get his best performance. And you can never really count this dude out just because the Texans have limitations on their offense. They may not have the best offensive line. He may just get sacked about 5 times in this game, just like how he did last time. Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz are his only reliable receivers. Listen, they can find a way to make this thing work because they have CJ Stroud. This dude is considered a top 5 quarterback by most people for a reason. He was in the MVP discussion at one point this season. So don't count out this dude just because he's a rookie quarterback and this is the second time you're going to face him. Like, this dude is him. And he's going to be a problem for the foreseeable future. And this gets me to my biggest point of this football game. Lamar Jackson can't lose this. Now, y'all know how much I love Lamar Jackson, the lone legend from Pompano. But if the Ravens lose to the Texans, fam, I don't think I'm going to be able to look at Lamar for at least the next couple of months. This would be the worst playoff loss ever for a potential MVP winner. Lamar cannot lose this game. I know it's a team sport, but there's a lot of pressure on Lamar. You see, people keep saying that the Texans are playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. Like, I never understood people who say that because it's the damn playoffs, man. Everybody has something to lose. It's win, go home. Everybody's trying to get the Lombardi. But I do believe that playoff pressure is a thing. And Lamar Jackson, he handles pressure well. But at the same time, the big knock on Lamar Jackson right now is his inability to show up consistently in the playoffs. The last time he won a playoff game, it was against the Tennessee Titans. And in a game like this, when you have a quarterback in ascension mode, if you don't have your A game on, you're going to lose. You see, like, this dude, CJ Stroud, if Lamar Jackson doesn't play his best game and he has a little bit of an off performance and the Ravens start out slow, like, CJ Stroud is going to work him. He's a top 5 quarterback right now. This is the greatest first-year season that I've ever seen out of a guy like CJ Stroud in all my years covering this sport. It's unbelievable what he's doing right now. The Ravens have a very good defense, but so does Houston. The Ravens' defense is better than Houston's, and it is by a pretty considerable margin, but let's not act like Baltimore's offense has just been red, scorching hot all season long. As a matter of fact, you can say that this offense has yet to reach their full potential. But you see, this defense is very good. And with how good Houston is defensively, and having a lot of familiarity with the Ravens offense already, they should be able to find a way to keep this game close. I'm going with Baltimore to win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Texans cover this thing. I'm going to take them with that +9. Baltimore plays their best football at home. We get that. But this is playoff football, and you're going up against CJ Stroud, who's playing at the top 5 level. And he also has a decent supporting cast around him. Yes, from an overall team standpoint, Baltimore is just way more superiorly better than what the Houston Texans are. But at the same time, when you have a quarterback in ascension mode like CJ Stroud, he elevates your team. The defense is going to have some juice. The offense is going to have some juice. Hell, even the coaches are going to have some juice in this game. This can be a close game. I still like Baltimore to win by a touchdown. I got them 31-24. But I can see Houston keeping this thing close with how good CJ Stroud has been playing.